I'm Pastor Aaron Harris, and this video is about how I received a over $30,000 tax refund. In this video, you'll learn some steps that you can take so that you can pay less money in taxes. And if you watch till the end, then you may be able to save thousands of dollars. I know that many people don't even want to talk about taxes. The last video I made about a month ago was called Legal Ways to Keep More Money in Your Pocket, and it was about not overpaying for taxes. And in a month, only 52 people watched that video. And immediately I would have been discouraged and thinking, oh, people do not like this content. They don't want to know about taxes. But I got a call from one of my cousins who told me they watched the video, they enjoyed it, they learned something, and they were actually going to apply the steps that were in that video so that they could save more money. So it amazes me how many people do not want to know and learn about taxes, even though taxes could be one of the biggest expenses that you have to pay. The IRS, the government, is going and taking hundreds or thousands of dollars from you each and every month, and we don't know where it's going to or what we can do to keep more money in our pockets. The main way that you save money through taxes is by deductions and credits. So in this video, I'll give you a number of deductions that we took out so that we were able to save money on our taxes. So the first step that you need to take to make sure that you're not overpaying on taxes is to make sure that you have a good tax specialist. For me personally, I pay $500 for our tax advisor to do our taxes, but I'm not just paying him $500 for him to do our taxes one time. Instead, he is available all throughout the year. When I have any questions about anything tax related, I'm able to pick up the phone, call him, meet with him, and he answers all of my questions. So $500 a year in order to get a tax specialist for the whole year sounds pretty good to me. The mistake that many people make is that they go with the wrong tax specialist. Sometimes they go with a family member, or they go to a friend or someone who was referred to them, or they go to the cheapest option possible. But really, you want to go with someone who is going to make sure that you maximize your returns. The biggest deduction that we were able to make was from our charitable donations. When you give to a church or a nonprofit, a 501c3, then all the money that you give is tax deductible, meaning you cannot be taxed on that income up to about 50% of your income. And so when you give money to spaces like churches, then if you itemize your taxes, when you go and do your tax deductions, then you do not pay taxes on any money that you donated to the church. So if your job already took taxes out of your check, then when you go and you present how much you have given to charity or the churches, to the IRS, then they have to go back and refund you the money that you paid taxes on, because that money is not taxable. Another big deduction that people don't know about is their property taxes and their interest payments that they're paying on their mortgage. Right now, there is a cap of up to $10,000 that can be deducted for people who are paying for their property taxes, and the interest rate that you're paying, or the amount of interest that you're paying on your mortgage. That money is tax deductible, so that you do not pay taxes on that income as well. In addition to that, there is a dependent care tax deduction that many people don't know about. If you have children under a certain age that are in daycare or child care, and you're paying for that each and every month, then the government allows for you to use a $3,000 tax deduction if you set it up in advance, you can get a $3,000 tax deduction for two of your children, which means it's $3,000 each, which gives you up to like a $6,000 tax deduction when you have children who are in daycare. And that's different from the child tax credit that everyone automatically gets who has children. Another thing that you can go and deduct is business expenses. Because I have a book out and because I have a YouTube channel, then I can deduct certain expenses related to my business, like the camera that I'm talking into now, the computer that I reference, the microphone that I'm talking through. All of these are able to be tax deductible. In addition to that, I'm able to also deduct my travel and expenses. So when I go and I public speak or I preach or I teach at places, then I'm able to deduct the amount of money that's spent for me traveling, or sometimes if I'm overnight at a space, even for me eating meals, rental car, flight, hotel expenses, as long as they're directly related to the business that I am doing. Another big tax deduction that we had, which related to me because I'm a pastor, I'm considered clergy, and so what we get is a housing allowance, meaning that a portion of my salary is able to be paid to me by the church through a housing allowance, which means that I use the money that's directly paid to like our mortgage and utilities and things like that. And the money I use for that is tax deductible if I do certain things by certain times before the beginning of the year, meet with the church leaders, have a document signed where they have an agreed upon amount, then I'm able to get a certain amount of money that I do not pay any local, state, or federal taxes on. Although you still do have to pay SECA, and with SECA, you have to still pay your Medicare and your Social Security. I learned about many of these deductions from my tax specialist and from watching YouTube videos and talking to others that are knowledgeable about taxes. And so I encourage you to do the same thing, to learn as much as you can about taxes, about the tax code, to get a good tax professional that's familiar with the field of income that you have, so they're familiar with the type of career that you have, the type of income that you have. Don't get someone that's just going to give you the standard deduction and have you missing out on thousands of dollars unless you've talked to a couple different consultants, and that is your best bet. But usually if you own property and you own homes and you have a decent amount of income, then your best bet would be to go with itemized deductions. And when you do that, you should probably use a tax specialist, even if they point out one thing that you did not know that could save you a lot of money. For example, this time when I was doing my taxes, I was thinking about, I'm not going to put my travel and expenses on there. And then my tax specialist, he reached out to me and he said, no, you need to calculate those miles that you drove, and you need to put things like that into it so that you can save more money. So you need to make sure that you have a tax specialist that's looking out for you, that you consult with them with anything that you're going to do, that you learn as much as you can about taxes so that you can keep more money in your pocket. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about how you can save money and invest money, then continue watching the other videos on my channel, which are all about personal finance.